It was a Tuesday morning, the kind where you plan to sleep in, savor your coffee, and maybe mow the lawn later. But at 7 a.m., a relentless hammering jolted me awake. At first, I figured it was just a neighbor fixing a fence or something. But the noise didn't stop. For over an hour, it pounded through my skull, ruining my rare day off. Groggy and annoyed, I shuffled outside in my sweatpants and faded t-shirt to see what the hell was going on. What I saw stopped me dead. Right there, on my pristine front lawn, the one I'd spent months perfecting was a construction crew hammering together the frame of a metal shed. And standing in the middle of it all, while VYing her arms like a traffic cop with a clipboard, was Linda Harper, the iron-fisted president of our HOA. My stomach dropped. What the hell is this? I blurted, storming toward her. Linda turned, flashing that fake smile she always used when she thought she was untouchable. "Good morning, Mr. Carter. Isn't it exciting? The neighborhood storage project is finally happening." Her voice was so chipper it made my skin crawl. Neighborhood storage? On some I saw lawn. I snapped, my voice louder than I meant it to be. This was my property, my sanctuary, and she was treating it like public land. Still clutching her clipboard, Linda didn't miss a beat. According to HOA Bylaw Section 4.3, front-facing aesthetics are under shared community guidelines. The board voted to use this space for a storage facility. She said it like she was reading from the Bible, all calm and righteous. I felt my blood boil. "This is private property, Linda. Stop this saw now, saw," I said, pulling out my phone. "I'm calling the cops." Her smile didn't waver. "That won't be necessary, Mr. Carter. Everything's perfectly legal. You really should have read the fine print when you signed the HOA agreement." She waved me off like I was a kid throwing tantrum. I stood there, dumbfounded, as the workers kept hammering, oblivious to the fact they were tearing up my sawyard. My wife, Emily, and I had bought this corner lot 6 months ago. We loved the big yard, the quiet street, the idea of starting fresh in a nice neighborhood. Sure, we knew about the HOA, but we didn't expect Linda Harper to be a suburban tyrant. For 5 years, she'd ruled the HOA like her personal kingdom, nitpicking everything: mailbox shapes, fence colors, even the exact height of grass blades. When we moved in, she handed us a binder thicker than a phone book, stuffed with rules. Emily and I followed every single one, dotting every I, crossing every T, just to keep the peace. But clearly, that wasn't enough to escape Linda's crosshairs. "This is insane," I told her, now wide awake and furious. "Show me where it says you can build on my property without my permission." For a split second, Linda's eyes narrowed, but she recovered fast. "As HOA president, I'm authorized to make aesthetic enhancements for the community's benefit. Your lot is the best spot for this storage solution. The board voted on it last month." "What vote?" I shot back. "We never got any notice." The workers were unloading more metal panels now, and I felt like I was watching my home get invaded. Linda smirked. "It was in the March newsletter. Not my fault you don't read community updates." That smug tone pushed me over the edge. I called Emily at work, trying to keep my voice steady as I explained the nightmare unfolding on our lawn. She was floored and said she'd be home ASAP. While I waited, I stood my ground, refusing to let Linda think she'd won. My next-door neighbor, Mike Thompson, wandered over, drawn by the commotion. "She can't do this," he whispered, glancing at Linda. "She's been getting crazier, but this is next level." I raised an eyebrow. "You know anything about this storage plan?" Mike shook his head. "Nada. And I'm on the HOA board." There was no vote. That was all I needed to hear. I marched back to Linda, my confidence growing. "Mike says there was no board vote." "You're lying." For a moment, her mask slipped just a flash of pure rage before she smoothed it over. "Mike's mistaken. It was a special session. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to keep these workers on schedule." She turned away, barking orders at the crew. Emily pulled into the driveway just as the shed's walls started going up. It was hideous, a boxy, beige monstrosity that looked like it belonged in a junkyard. "This is unreal," she said, staring at it in horror. "We're stopping this saw now, saw." Together, we approached the foreman. "This is our property, Emily said firmly. You don't have permission to build here. The guy looked uneasy. Ma'am, the HOA lady hired us. Said all the permits were good. There saw no permits. I cut in. This is illegal. Keep going, and you could be liable. That made the workers pause, exchanging nervous glances. But Linda swooped in, her face red with fury. What do you think you're doing? She shrieked. Get back to work. The foreman tried to explain the dispute, but she shut him down. There's no dispute. This is HOA approved, and these homeowners are VYOLADing their covenant. Her voice was so loud now, neighbors were peeking out their windows. If you don't finish today, you're not getting paid. Linda yelled at the crew. The workers reluctantly picked up their tools, but you could tell they hated being caught in her storm. That night, after the crew left and Linda finally drove off, Emily and I sat at our kitchen table, surrounded by our deed, the HOA bylaws, and a lawyer's contact info. The lawyer, Stephen Lee, was blunt. She has no right to do this. HOAs can't build on private property without consent. We'll file an emergency injunction tomorrow. The next morning, we hit the county records office. No permits. None. Zilch. Armed with proof, we filed complaints with the city and the HOA board. Turns out, most board members were as shocked as we were. Linda told us, Saw wanted the shed to settle some violations, said Sarah Miller, the treasurer. We never approved this. The following day, I took another day off, knowing Linda would be back. Sure enough, at 7:30 a.m., her SUV rolled up, followed by the construction crew. But this time we were ready. Parked in front of our house were a city inspector's truck and a police cruiser. Linda stepped out, clipboard in hand, and froze. What's going on? She demanded, her voice already sharp. Good morning, Ms. Harper, the inspector said, flipping through his notes. I'm here about an unpermitted structure on private property. Know anything about that? Linda's face turned crimson, but she held her ground. This is an HOA matter, not the city's. We have authority over aesthetic improvements. Maybe, the inspector said calmly, but you need permits for any structure. And this shed? No permits, no authorization, and it's on private property. The cop chimed in. Plus, we've got a complaint about trespassing and property damage. Linda's eyes widened. Trespassing? I'm the HOA president. This is for the community. The Carter's lawn is perfect for storage. Ms. Harper, the officer said, his voice firm, this is the Carter's property. Without their permission, you've got no right to build here. The workers hadn't even touched their tools, sensing the trouble. The foreman stepped forward. Should we start, or? Absolutely not, the inspector said. This project's shut down until permits are filed, which requires homeowner consent. Linda lost it. Get to work on now, she screamed at the crew. I'm paying you to finish. The foreman shook his head. Sorry, ma'am. We can't work against a stop order. That's when Linda snapped. She stormed onto our lawn, yanking metal panels from the truck herself. Fine, I'll do it myself, she yelled, dragging a sheet across our grass, tearing up the sod. Ma'am, leave the property now, the officer warned. You're trespassing. Linda spun around, clutching the metal like a shield. This is community property. Section 4.3 says Ms. Harper. The cop cut her off, stepping closer. Leave, or you're under arrest for trespassing and property damage. A crowd of neighbors had gathered now, watching the drama unfold. For a second, I thought she'd back down. Then she doubled down, shouting at the workers, "Help me finish this." No one moved. With a frustrated snarl, Linda kept dragging the siding toward the shed. The officer sighed, pulled out his handcuffs, and walked toward her. Linda Harper, you're under arrest for criminal trespass and property damage. Drop the materials and put your hands behind your back. The neighborhood went silent as Linda was cuffed, still ranting about bylaws and community standards. Her face was beet red, tears of rage streaming down as the cop led her to the cruiser. 2 weeks later, we sat in an emergency HOA meeting. Linda wasn't there. She was too busy dealing with her legal mess. The board voted her out as president and issued us a formal apology for the damage to our lawn. Linda faced 3 charges: trespassing, property damage, and forging board signatures on fake meeting minutes. In court, The judge wasn't buying her community standards excuse. She got slapped with a $5,000 fine, 2 years of probation, and had to pay to fix our lawn and remove the shed. When the sentence came down, Linda's face went from smug to stunned. "But I was just doing my job," she wailed as the bailiff hauled her out. "What about property values? Our lawn's back to normal now, and the neighborhood's a little quieter without Linda's reign of terror." But the whole ordeal left me wondering, how far would you go to protect your home? Was Linda just a control freak? Or did she really believe she was helping the community? Should HOAs have this much power? Or are they just breeding ground for petty tyrants? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if this story got your blood pumping. And subscribe for more crazy neighbor tales. Let's get this debate going. What would Saw have done?